So welcome. We're here at Don't Follow the Shepherd. I just shook my desk. Um, we have Lesley Zimmerman, who is an entertainment publicist, a music publicist, worked with tons of rock stars. And like many people, she's dealt with significant trauma from the LA fires. And I wanted to kind of get a feel for how she's doing and get some perspective on it because the media cycle moves on and people just kind of forget that people are putting things back together and it takes quite a toll. It's not just that one can be resilient and pick up. There are reminders, there's all kinds of things, there's loss, there's grief. So I wanted to get a feel for how she's doing. So welcome to the program.
Thanks very much, Jordan.
Um, Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you were just before the fires? I mean, in life, specifically what you were doing, but also like what was going on in your life. You probably were very busy and, things were rolling along, and then this giant catastrophic event happened.
Yeah. Well, I'd also had a lot of stuff going on with my parents because it's my parents' house that I grew up in that
Okay.
burned with my whole childhood in it. My dad had cancer and my mom was disabled and legally blind, and my dad passed away on Father's Day. So I was just taking care of my mom. She wouldn't hire help. So I was the help. So I was real busy with them like that whole year. And I had gone the day of the fire, I'd gone to work out, which I do every morning. And when I was driving back about 11:30, it was just apocalyptic. The sky was just a big cloud. I mean, we had fires in the Palisades every single year, but I'd never seen anything like this in my life. I'd pulled over the car, everybody was pulling over and taking photos and video of it. But we thought it would get put out in the hills, but still it looked really, really bad. So I got home, my mom was freaking out, and it was pretty terrifying. But yeah, I had a completely different life before this fire.
Yeah, I mean, to give people a perspective, when I lived in Alaska, um, we had wildfires quite frequently, but this is a catastrophic, really structural fire. That was, those are burned forests, which we get accustomed to as um, species living on the planet. But a structural fire is completely different. And like for me, who was in between the Palisades fire and the one near Pasadena, I was triggered just because I lost a parent to cancer at a young age, and I was just terrified of chemical pollutants. And someone who studied ecotoxicology, I was like very triggered, not even being near smoke. So to think that people were exposed to this and then losing their possessions, which we get attached to, it's like the amazing things that can trigger someone. A natural disaster, we'll call this a natural disaster for the sake of it, is one of the most traumatizing things that people go through. The loss of a loved one, a natural disaster. Those are two of the top big traumas.
Hmm.
I'm really sorry that you dealt with that, plus on top of dealing with your parents.
Yeah. Yeah, my poor mom. I mean, she loses her husband of 50 something years, and then like 5 months later, her home of that amount of time burns to the ground too. I felt so bad for her. But yeah, it's a lot. It's really a lot. And since there were so many memories there for me too, it was really a big deal.
Do you think that it really makes it any easier that there were a lot of people going through the same thing? A lot of people maybe that you knew that also lost their homes, or is that communal experience not necessarily that softening?
Uh, you know, I think it does help in a way because you're not alone and you guys can support each other, and we do support each other. But it's horrible what happened to people that I know as well, and it doesn't make me feel better about what happened to me.
Right,
Just I
right.
wish it hadn't happened to anybody. It was just the worst thing in the world, and it should have never happened.
Um,
No one's taking responsibility for it.
when you wake up in the morning, are you is there an onslaught of emotion still thinking of this or during the day, or are you able to kind of get on with things to some degree?
Well, the dealing with the insurance company and with FEMA and with all these other things is like a full-time job because, insurance company's job is to not pay out. You know what I mean? And FEMA, I don't know what's going on over there. I applied for aid 2 days after the fire and I'm still waiting and I'm still appealing because if you had any insurance, they'll turn you down. And, so like I do this all day and it just seems like my full-time job now. And it's not a fun job and it's not a creative job. And it's, some days are really, really frustrating, just still dealing with it 4 months later. And, I don't know when I'll get back to normal. I hope soon.
Yeah, having to pick up a phone call and talk to someone on the other end who's in a large bureaucracy and is kind of numb to it because they hear calls all day long and they don't bring probably a lot of empathy to maybe they do. I don't know. I imagine they don't.
I mean, the people are really, really nice, but I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
not getting anywhere.
Oh, okay. I see what
I
you're
have to
saying.
keep appealing and they keep wanting to see more things. And, you know, yeah, it's crazy. It's super crazy just dealing with all this stuff.
And I saw some of your Facebook posts were just like you getting getting furniture, put it moved into the house and like the struggle that was, like how difficult they made that. Like I was like, oh man,
Yeah, everything, just nothing has gone smoothly. I'm waiting for it to start going smoothly, and I have high hopes someday it will, but today is not that day. Yeah, like with the bed and with the couch and all that stuff you saw, it was just insane.
right.
And then we had to get this sounds really stupid, but we had to get all our utilities turned off at the burned house because they were still charging us for them, even though there's nothing there. There's literally nothing there. And just all this different stuff that you wouldn't even think of. And, replacing your stuff is a whole other thing because you don't know what you had until you need it,
Right.
like and it happens to me almost every single day. I'll like buy something to eat and I'll be like, oh wait, I don't have like I want to make a smoothie. Oh, I don't have any ice trays. Silly things like that. And then big ticket things, of course. But I mean, you literally have nothing at all except for whatever you threw into your go bag when you evacuated.
Are friends and living family members, are you connected to them daily that people are supportive, or do people tend to kind of forget and unless you reach out to them?
People are really supportive. I've been really nicely surprised with
Nice.
how supportive people have been. And I had a girlfriend slash colleague do a GoFundMe for me. I didn't ask anybody to do that. And I've gotten a lot of support. People have been really wonderful. I've been really happily surprised and
Wow.
grateful, very grateful. And people are still cool about it. People aren't, there's some people that are, there's it's just stuff people, I call them, that say, well, you just lost your stuff and this and that. And it's like, well, yeah, but like there was a lot of things that were really priceless, gifts from former clients and, signed things that you can't put a price tag on. And then a lot of my stuff from my childhood, that I thought I would have forever. And, there's stuff and then there's stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I lose my life and I'm very grateful for that. But,
yeah, I mean, there's studies out there that look at grief, and like someone can own, and like socioeconomic class, someone can own six residences and lose one of them and feel as devastated. I mean, pragmatically, it's as challenging. It's less challenging for someone who already has a home and doesn't have to kind of has a place to go. But the loss is still significant. And I'm not trying to say that, oh, we should, I guess my point is I was surprised to learn that people who are you know, living quite lavish lifestyles are as harmed as people who are quite impoverished and devastated.
Well,
So,
we definitely weren't the lavishly jet setting people in the Palisades. My parents had been there for decades since it was a new town, and we were just like the middle class kind of people in the modest home.
right.
And
I didn't mean to insinuate. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
oh, it's
insinuate.
okay because a lot of people think that everybody in the Palisades was,
Right.
Steven Spielberg, but who lives there or did. He used to live there. But yeah, it's, there's all different kinds of people that live there, but I'm just worried that the people like my family aren't going to go back
Hmm.
and, because they're not going to be able to for whatever reason, or they just can't go back because they're too traumatized. I know a lot of people that don't want to rebuild because they're so traumatized they can never go back. And then
Wow.
some people that, can't wait to rebuild and be back because that's where they belong and, that's their property. And I totally understand both thinking. Myself, I don't know if I'm going to rebuild or not. I haven't made that decision. I'm
Are
just have to right now.
are many of your close friends also within the neighborhood, or do
Yeah,
you?
I just moved to Santa Monica, which is the next town over, because I didn't want to leave my support system and I didn't want to, I want to be able to work out where I work out and go where I go and so and there's a lot of us here. The gang's kind of all here.
Can you actually go out and take your mind? Can you be social and take your mind off it for moments and like be mindful, or is it really hard? I would imagine, like for me, I'm very sensitive, so I would be like, I would have trouble just uh disengaging from my thoughts about, I mean, that's my trauma history, but
Yeah.
um
It's sometimes, I mean, I don't go out when I'm feeling like that, and I don't go out very much, but when I go out, I can have fun.
okay.
But it's not the same yet. It will be, but yeah, I'm still pretty traumatized. Like I had a girlfriend ask me, she wanted to take me to a show and this and that. And of course, we love going to shows. And I just said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go. But that was a month ago, and now I'm kind of ready to go. So, it's a process. Also, I had nothing to wear because I had no clothes.
Right.
So my clothes went up in smoke too. So everything I have is like donated, um, thrifted, stuff like that. I bought a few new things and, they're really kind. They're giving like 20% off discounts to fire victims at some places, which is great. Like I got a discount on like some furniture too, which is great. So people are still, and I just bought a pair of glasses like a couple of weeks ago and I still got the discount, which was because my glasses burned, everything did. So but yeah, no, people have been great. But going out, yeah, sometimes it's easier than other times.
Yeah, I would imagine that people have a lot of conflicting feelings, and it's hard, and particularly in an era of social media where, you know, you're still dealing with someone, but then if you look at social media, you can see people who are not directly involved, and it's not that they lack empathy, but they forget that they're people consuming information who have just dealt with something so traumatic. I mean, that's
It's
true for everything. What's
so
that?
so toxic anyway.
That's true.
Totally addicted to it, but it's completely toxic, especially now.
Right. Right. I mean, I guess I'm living that I get triggered just thinking about the experience that someone else may go through. Like that's my own stuff. But I could imagine it's not nearly as easy as some people think that it is to kind of bounce back. Um,
Yeah.
and your daughter is in school. Uh,
Yeah, she just graduated grad school actually on Saturday.
oh, congratulations.
Wow. Thanks. Yeah, she wasn't living in the house at the time, but a lot of her stuff was there.
How is she doing over it?
She's good, she's doing good. and we can replace all of her stuff. She didn't have nearly the amount of stuff in there that I did, thank God. And we can replace all of her diplomas and all that other stuff that was there, and her birth certificate and all that other stuff. It can be replaced. I did get replacement documents, most of them. I
Right.
still need to get my passport, and still need to get my social security card and stuff like that. But I was able to get my birth certificate and some other stuff, and my dad's death certificate, which I've needed.
Does it make people rethink the possibility that even though this seemed like a one-off incident, the potential for it to happen again is too frightening for people? Because you mentioned that some are traumatized just going back to the area, which of course makes sense. But
Looks like a war zone. It looks like The Walking Dead. It's unbelievable. It's like the apocalypse when you drive in the Palisades right now. It's horrible. So I'm sorry, what were you
yeah,
gonna?
so like the possibility to me, because I used to be study climate change kind of things, like what the chance that this could happen again, maybe somewhat remote because of precautions being taken, and it was kind of a perfect storm in some ways, but the possibility is there. I mean, for example, like living in Alaska or in India, I dealt with monsoon season on one end and avalanches on another, and there was always a chance. And I got habituated to the fact that there was a chance that something could happen, but people took precautions, there were warnings and learning lessons. So, um, because I think a lot of people who weren't even touched by the fire think, well, wow, if that happened to those people, this could happen to us living here. Like I'm in the valley now. I used to live in Playa Vista, but there's possibilities that, catastrophic events can happen. Uh,
Yeah.
future. Not to put that, sorry, not to make
Scary thought, but no, I mean, of course you think that, but like I know all the people that are rebuilding are going to use more fire retardant materials, and like Rick Caruso, who owns the shopping center that was in the middle of town, that survived. And the part of the reason that survived is he was able to hire private firefighters, but another reason that survived is he built with very expensive fire retardant materials, and they worked. So, because everything around there burned. It looks kind of odd being the only thing standing there when you drive past it. It's like there's this like pristine, like almost shopping area, and then everything else is just carnage.
Oh. I was gonna ask you, I just lost my train of thought. Do you think that you know, I kind of lost my train of thought, God for
That's okay.
I
All the time.
right? We're at that age of some occasional memory loss to begin with.
Yeah, the
In some
senior
ways,
moments come more and more.
that's a blessing, I suppose. But uh do you are there communal events that are therapeutic for you? Beside, I mean, a lot of people probably are in therapy for all kinds of reasons. Today people embrace therapy. I love therapy, but do you think that is that helpful to people? Like, you don't have to share your personal experience, but is that something that's been talked about? Like, are there times where you want to call someone who's been through it with you to just talk?
Sometimes, and also, like there have been a couple events, like with Palisades people, and we all grew up together, and we've all gone our separate ways. But some people still live there, some didn't, and the whole community is really bound together. Like we had a big party about a month ago. There's about 200 people there, and it was really therapeutic to just be there and all be together, and I'll tell our stories, and I'll commiserate and give each other big hugs. And because we're all just so, you know we're so traumatized. I mean, that's the only word that really really fits. And we're doing another one in July as well. and it's going to be similar, and it's going to be a benefit for the music store in town that was also destroyed. I mean, I can't think of many things that weren't destroyed actually there. But yeah, it was, where everybody like learned how to read music and learned how to play guitar and this and that, and it was destroyed. So it's going to be kind of a benefit for that. And it's therapeutic. Like you feel like you're getting into action and you're doing something positive from literally the ashes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the people who lost businesses and their homes,
Mm.
not to put not to compare traumas, but it's destabilizing enough to lose your home, but then your business, it just the feeling of loss of control seems like that is just so profound. Um, and
Yeah, I lost my database.
oh, okay.
Because
That's significant.
I took my laptop, but my database was on my desktop.
Okay.
And so I'm going to probably do a massive email blast because I still have my email blast program, which means I still have all my emails, and that's the most important thing.
Use
So
MailChimp, by the way.
I actually use YMLP, your
Oh,
mailing list provider,
okay.
but they're all similar. But yeah, so I'm going to send out a blast and just tell people, look, I lost my database. Can you please send me your info and who you're writing for now and your most current address and number. Obviously, I have their email, and hopefully enough people will respond that I'll have a brand new database.
Now you work out. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Cloud, and not enough of it was saved to the cloud to be, but I mean, honestly, as long as I have the emails, I'm golden.
Right.
Yeah, thank God I had that.
You mentioned that you work out at some gym in the area, but you're in tip-top shape, so I imagine you go pretty regularly.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
do.
it
Thank you, by the way.
gives you it gives you routine and like something that you're in charge of.
Well, it's always been a mental health thing as well as physical for me.
Right.
Especially, I started going every single day during COVID
Mhm.
when we found out it was airborne, and I do bar.
Oh,
So, the owner of the studio, I go to Bar Method in Brentwood, and the owner of the studio, her husband made standalone bars, ballet bars.
oh, cool.
Work out outside 6 feet apart from each other. So
Wow.
I was going 7 days a week because I had nowhere else to go.
Wow.
So I could see people and work out and stuff. And that created a really good habit for me. So
I,
yeah.
you might be surprised by this. I do bar three.
Yeah. What's bar three?
Bar three is a new, I didn't know anything about bar, but it's tougher than like hockey practice. Like bar is
Oh, is it like that hardcore, like
oh,
jumping around
it's not as
bar?
it's actually not as strenuous as bar method. It's a newer kind of slightly softer. I don't want to say softer. It's a little different, but it's a bar type it's a bar franchise. And I was walking by it in Studio City. It was just open and needless to say, I just was like, what is this? Because I weight train every day or almost every day, and I wanted something to stretch and do aerobics, and they said, come on in. And I'm still like the only guy in every class that I go to.
I love seeing guys in my class. I'm always so excited to see men in that class because it helps your flexibility so much.
Yeah, oh, tremendously. And I just recently hurt my back, so I haven't gone in about a week, and I definitely can miss it. Like I need bar is really like I love it. I think I would be really competitive if other guys were in there. There's something about the fact that I'm the only guy in there, but I'm regular. I mean, I am a regular charter member of this group, and I go in there and we don't do as from what I understand, we don't do as much ballet like on the bar ballet like posturing as bar method, but yeah. Oh wait, bear with me here.
Okay.
Here's my here's my bar. I got a ball.
Oh, wow.
I got the balls, so I got my ball the other day. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it at home exactly. I guess the
I don't
same.
have those. We don't have those. We
You don't
have
have malls
small
in yours?
ones for certain. We have a smaller one that's about that big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we use it for certain things. Yeah.
I mean, but like you said, though, it's
Lighter
so,
weights and stuff like that. We have weights and straps and stuff.
yeah, we have weights but again, like you said, it's for mental health. Like for
Mm.
me, it's not even being in the moment. It's like it gives me structure in my day to know that that's something I'm going to do, and I need it. I'm a neurotic Jewish fellow, and I need absolute. I need something like that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the only thing that's kept me sane, somewhat sane. I wouldn't say I'm completely sane because that would be a lie, but as sane as I've been able to manage to stay has been because of that. Seriously, it's a really great community too. It's like my family. And we really bonded during COVID, which I thought was so awful until this happened.
Right. I think that um I was trying to explain to my dad who's in Las Vegas that um because he's not as uh maybe neurotic as I am. He, like I said, this is like going through COVID again. I'm not touched by the fires directly, but this is kind of like um, worrying about your health in an environmental context every moment. There's a lot of similarities to COVID. It's like reliving it in some ways, and obviously worse for those people who succumb to more tragic, catastrophic events. Um, but it's been in the Western world, we've been touched by things that people in the Eastern Hemisphere in developing emerging countries deal with all the time.
Yeah.
Not to make us, not to be consoling, but
Yeah. I mean, I was just the nomadic lifestyle afterwards. I was in 5 hotels in 4 weeks with my golden retriever and my cat. And in the beginning, my mom, who I ended up she ended up going to assisted living because she just, after everything that happened to her, she ended up being in a wheelchair full time, legally blind, as I told you, forgetting short-term memory shot, and just completely traumatized this poor lady. She's 93 years old. She did not need this. And so she's in this beautiful palace of an assisted living now and has a team. She needs the highest level of care now.
Mhm.
It wasn't like that before. She was walking on a walker before the fire. She was, she was had it together, and it's just what trauma does to people, it was just too much for her. And so, yeah, she's in a gorgeous, gorgeous place, which is positive, but, and I'm in a tiny little apartment, me and my animals. But, I'm so glad I'm out of the hotels because that lifestyle, I mean, and I felt like a rock star on tour without, the money and the shows and the fun, just
yeah,
too
the
much.
the destabilizing impact, the decompensating that people go through. Like I've had times in my life where I was moving continually for different reasons, and I mean in sequence in a short period of time, and it's so destabilizing. And having a dog, the dog, like even as an animal trainer, that it is unsettling for animals that are need structure and routine, and then you feel like you're apologizing sometimes to people, and then you're like, no, I can't even, like, then you're like, why do I care? I'm dealing with enough. They'll have to deal with it. It's like all these little emotional dynamics that play into a destabilized life are just so unsettling that I can empathize.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the hotel thing. It was so crazy. I'm like leaving, I'm coming, I'm going. And my poor cat. I mean, the dog could hang. The cat was the one that couldn't hang. I had to have my daughter take the cat after like 2 weeks of that. I
Right,
said, I can't do this to her anymore. She's going to stroke out. I really thought she was going to stroke out or something.
right.
But the dog he's been great. He just kind of went with the flow, and you know how dogs do. He's just a wonderful boy. I gotta say, we've been through the wars together.
Well, I do think animals, though, will pick up on energy, and I'm not saying that was the case in yours, but this is when dogs escape sometimes because people are frazzled. Cats for sure escape.
Oh, she would have if she could have. She would hide every time I'd have to leave hotel rooms
Hmm.
and find her, and I have to check out, and yeah. But I don't think he didn't seem like he's not the type that would escape, but I know a lot of dogs would, for
Hmm.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's sometimes like for me, I would be so consumed with what I'm doing that I would forget, oh, I need to close the door for a second because I'm running in to get something. And then, like, there's just so many opportunities for small things that turn into disasters when you're
And
going through something like this.
yeah, no, I was all over the place.
Well, God bless you for making it through frazzled times. Jeez. I mean,
And
even watching it on the news is, I feel so silly telling you this, someone who directly dealt with it, but just watching it on the news is triggering. So imagine the people going through it.
it was surreal. It was really surreal. I just couldn't believe it. First, I didn't think our house was going to burn because we weren't in the hills and we'd had fires every year. And, you know, it usually gets contained in the hills. And obviously this time it did not, which is a whole other thing. Um, and I just kept seeing on social media what was going on and on the news because, you know, we didn't know the fate of our home for days. We had no idea if it had burned or not. So I just assumed it didn't because we were in the flat area. I was really hopeful that it didn't. And I actually had to see a video a neighbor had taken of my house in flames to believe that my house was gone.
Wow.
And then I had a friend who used to be a firefighter have one of his firefighter friends go in there and take pictures for me of the house. And that's how I saw that it was just absolutely destroyed and nothing survived except the chimney.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I believed it.
Wow.
Your mind tries to protect you when
Right.
something horrible happens and says, "Oh no, don't worry, it'll be okay." You know, that's what my mind did, you know. So I was really surprised when I found out that our house didn't survive.
Well, I'm inspired by your resilience, because I'm not sure I would be able to put it together so well. Um,
Sure, you could. You do what you have to do. I think you could.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, no, you really don't.
Well, thank you so much. I'd love to have you back on to give us an update on how you're doing. You may not want to, I don't know. The
Sure, I'd love
invitation
to.
is there.
Yeah, something will happen. Eventually, things will pick up, and you know, this will be behind everybody.
Right.
Has to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, the world is in a crazy state, and so maybe people will reflect differently on. I mean, it's easy to say materialism. I mean, it's so easy to say, but or we get attached to things like you said that are priceless, that are sentimental. But I think when a world is in an unpredictable state, sometimes we hold on to relationships near and dear, and sometimes let other things kind of go to the wayside a bit only because we have no control. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm no spiritual guru, so maybe I should be careful in saying that. It sounds like I'm like, where did I get that from? But yeah, so
Yeah.
well, is there what can people do to reach out and help? Is there any website link, GoFundMe page that you'd like to share? Um,
I do have a GoFundMe, but I don't have it in front of me right now, so I don't know how to fix
okay,
it.
when I repost this, I'll add the link. I'll get the link from you.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. I can't even believe how kind people have been about this. And it's really restored my faith in humanity, I must say. It really has,
right.
I'm really loving humans like the way most of them have been about this, you know.
That's nice of you to say.
Well,
Thank you for your willingness and courage to share because I know it's not easy, or I presume it's not easy to share always. Um, and I look forward to seeing you kind of blossom from this catastrophe.
thank you. I appreciate it. And I look forward to it too.
Thank you.